most of the outrage you're seeing across the country is because the lack of arrest of all four of those officers. If the four of us had done that to any person on the street and it had been recorded, they'd have tracked all four of us down and put all four of us in jail. How is it that when a crime is so blatant and so on display, can't they do the simple things of arresting all four of these men and having them make bail like the officer who's being charged with third-degree murder did? Where are the other three? I know you don't know where they are, but how can it be that these officers cannot be treated as regular citizens in an action like this?
You know what my answer is? I agree with you. We were asking the same questions. Why weren't they taken into custody? I don't have that answer. I wish I had the answer. I don't have that answer. And I think, again, you would have never heard chiefs and rank and file saying that. You know, I will tell you, over the last couple of days, as I said, I've spoken to police chiefs. I've spoken to officers across our country. I've spoken to so many of our community members. And I want to say this. Thank you to, God, it must be at least 40 community members that reached out to me personally to say, hey, thinking about you, Chief, thinking about you, Shelley. I know how much this must upset you. And we had some really great conversations. And that meant so much to me because it shows the friendship that we have and the trust that was built up over the years, that they thought to reach out to me because they knew I would be hurting. God, I love you. You know, I love that.
The people in charge of that investigation said the investigation is ongoing. What does that mean for people who don't understand that? Because obviously they're still out there. If they're still investigating them and we're almost a week into this, why would it take so long? What part of the investigation that we don't understand that is so complex that it takes them a week when it seems as if it's very easy to identify what happened?
Yeah, there is a lot of complexity to investigations. Can
you break some of that down for us?
Well, I don't know how much time we have. It would take a long time because when you think about when you're going to go to a criminal trial, you know, you're going to be charged criminally. And, you know, I would imagine the FBI is looking at this, very much looking at federal civil rights violations and other things. You want to make sure that you do everything by the book. The last thing, because let's face it, they're going to get attorneys. And if something wasn't done by the book, that's going to be an out to say, well, look at, you know, let's throw out this piece of evidence. Let's throw out that. So it's important to do a very thorough, methodical investigation. But go back to your first question. Why weren't they in jail immediately? I don't have that answer. I think they should be. I don't have that answer. But as far as doing investigation, has to be done right. And it's important to be done right. So if it does go to trial, they could plead guilty. They could. So I don't know what's going to happen down the road. But thinking it will go to trial, you better have it done correctly. They got to get warrants. They got to get, you know, whatever that they're going to be looking at. Do it right. So there's no outrage because of some loophole that you couldn't go for one charge where you have to now go for another because you're going to throw out a piece of evidence. So kind of a short answer for very complex on why things take time. And we should want them to do it right to make sure that they're held accountable.
As your time in police chief, you had situations here where officers used force and some people lost their lives. How did you deal with it at the time when you were in the position?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, one of the things that with San Diego is, you know, when we had body cameras, we were the first major police department in city across our country to deploy body cameras. I'm proud of that. And, you know, I will tell you, there was some that came to me and said, boy, Chief, you know, there's no other major department that has, this is new technology. You're going to be the big person taking this on in the big city and the big department. You're going to take every hit that comes with trying to deploy something like this. Are you sure you want to do it? And my response, yes, that's what leaders do. And you know, and I'm not afraid to do it. Now, do we have some growing pains? Absolutely. Did I get, you know, beat up over it? Absolutely. But that's okay. You have to have the courage to, as a leader, to go forward. As I say all the time, I don't have the answers for everything, but together, collectively, we're going to have a lot more. What I'm also proud of is when we brought so many diverse groups together because we knew we were going to need a policy and a strong policy on this body camera, We had a 95% agreement on our first body camera policy. You can't get a 95% agreement with your best friend on where you're going to dinner tonight. It's because how we approached it is that we all want the same thing, okay? We want to hold officers accountable. At the same time, we want to protect officers against, false complaints. It's not an either or, it's a both. We want to do all of that. Now, I will tell you that 5%, we weren't going to agree, but that's okay because we learned from it. And, the policy's been modified at least 3 times because I know I did it a couple times when I was chief. We don't necessarily have all the answers on day one, but let's not derail things because we don't have all the answer on day one. That was very meaningful progress. And so, let me tell you, if you're not aware, and this is on the website, the San Diego Police Department website, of the checks and balances that go into what you asked about, if there was an officer involved shooting. First thing that we do is that we start a criminal investigation, okay? Then that investigation goes to internal affairs. Well, the criminal investigation gets sent to the district attorney's office. District attorney's office then will make a decision if they're going to charge or not charge the officer. Then goes to internal affairs where they look at potential policy violations. It also goes to our training department to take a look at training tactics. The entire investigation, including every interview, every body camera video, every piece of evidence is looked at through our independent Citizen Review Board on police practices. The FBI has an opportunity to take a look at that body cam or at that investigation to see if they're going to look at a civil rights violation. The video evidence, and we did this unanimously across San Diego County long before any assembly bill or Senate bill on the release of video evidence unanimously, and we involved with that also because we always learn new things and try to improve, is we would put the release of the video evidence out there. The district attorney did that. Bonnie DeManis, when I was chief, did that, and then now Summer Steffen. And, we talked a lot about it, and I would tell you, when I met with community groups and hundreds of community members talking about this and talking about the body cameras, and they were helping us with the policy, and then I'm talking about how we're going to do a responsible release of the video evidence. And at first there was like, you're not going to do that, chief. Really, you're telling us that you're going to do that, but we're watching what happens in Chicago, and it took, a year or 2 years to release evidence there or video evidence there. I said, no, we're going to expedite that release of that video evidence because that will help build the trust to our community. And that's exactly what we did. And they saw that that's exactly what we did, and we got it done in a pretty quick, methodical, make sure that the investigation was thorough, and we did it. And that helped to build trust of our community. So it goes back to what you said and everybody's talking about. This was years of hard work and helping to build the trust of our community. And that's why we're all so hurt, because we've made some real progress. We're not done. Nobody's claiming victory, but we've made some real progress, and to have it derailed and our badge tarnished. So what we have to do, we got to quadruple our efforts. And you know what? I'm up for the challenge. Are you up for that challenge? Let's get everybody up for that challenge to unite.